Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth Ryder, and today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious vanilla chia seed pudding. So chia seeds are so good for you. They're high in plant proteins, essential fatty acids, tons of fiber, and the rest of the ingredients in this chia pudding are really good for you as well. Now chia is kind of an interesting seed because you can see it here, it actually gelatinizes as it soaks in liquid. So it makes a really, really good vegan pudding. And if you've never had chia pudding before, I tell people you have to try it at least 3 times if you don't like it right away, because sometimes it just takes a little bit of getting used to the texture. But it's so good for you, and I love this pudding. I use it as a dessert, but I also use it as just a snack during the day because it's really healthy. So it's really easy to make. You just need a blender and a few ingredients. And if you want the full recipe, you can head on over to my blog and it will be able to be printed off there. So I have a high-speed blender, I have a Vitamix. If you have just a regular blender, you'll actually want to soak your cashews for about an hour, probably up to 2 hours, just to soften them up. I'm going to use cashews as part of the base for this pudding. And they're actually really soft, so they blend well in a high-speed blender. But again, if you're not using a high-speed blender, just soak them for a few hours first and then drain and rinse the liquid. So here we go. First, you'll add 3½ cups of purified water to your Vitamix. Next, a pinch of sea salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. Next, a tablespoon of high-quality vanilla extract. You can actually use 1 whole vanilla bean if you're using a high-speed blender, but I know a lot of people have vanilla extract on hand more often, so that's what I'm going to use. Then we're going to add 4 tablespoons of maple syrup. Now, when you choose maple syrup, make sure you choose maple syrup that is 100% maple syrup. It has nothing else added to it. Maple syrup is actually really high in enzymes and nutrients, and 4 tablespoons might sound like a lot, but this pudding is actually going to serve about 8 to 12, so it's actually not a lot. So there's 4 tablespoons. You can also use raw honey. When you look for any kind of sweetener from nature, like honey and maple syrup, look for raw when you can, because it will have more enzymes intact. So we've got 3½ cups of water, a heavy pinch of sea salt, 4 tablespoons of maple syrup. Now I'm going to add a cup of cashews. And when you find your cashews, look for raw, so that means not roasted, and unsalted. So raw, unsalted cashews. And I gave these a quick rinse. There we go, with just about a cup of cashews. Now I'm going to blend this on high, and what we're essentially doing is making cashew milk. And the first question people always ask me is, can I do this with other nuts? And you can, but if you use a different type of nut, you'll want to soak them for at least 2 to 3 hours. You could use almonds or pecans or walnuts, but they're not as soft as cashews, so you actually have to soak them longer. If you use a different kind of nut, you'll also need to strain it via a nut milk bag, which is just a little bag similar to cheesecloth. That's why I like to use cashews in this, because they're so soft and we don't need to strain it. So when using a high-speed blender, make sure it's turned all the way down to 0, and turn it on and then just slowly turn it to a higher speed until it's blended about 30 seconds on high, and you'll have essentially cashew milk. So here we go. Alright, so like I said, we essentially just made cashew milk. So I'll take this off, and then you'll need a large bowl. I'm going to pour this into a bowl and actually whisk in the chia seeds. So chia seeds are a unique seed that actually can be eaten whole. Most seeds, like flax seeds and then any kind of nuts, actually need to be ground up to get the nutrients out of them, but chia seeds can actually be eaten whole and you'll still get the nutrients. And it makes for a better texture. I've tried blending it in with the mixture before and it gets a little gritty, so I prefer them whole. So we're going to add about 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons. That's about 3/4 of a cup, a little bit less, of chia seeds. And this recipe is pretty fluid, you guys. If you're off a little bit, that's okay. And then just whisk it up really well. I store this in glass mason jars in the refrigerator. And I've tried to put it just into the mason jar and then shake it. And then I had some clumps. So I just like to pour it into a bowl first and then whisk it really well. And it takes about 2 or 3 hours for the chia seeds to gelatinize. So what you want to do is whisk that up really well. And then you can put it in any kind of glass container, but I like to store mine in mason jars just because I think it's easier. All right, so here it is in my mason jar, and you'll notice for about the first 10 minutes you might have some separation, so just go ahead and shake it up a little bit. If you look in the refrigerator and it's separated a little bit, just shake it up. After about 10 or 15 minutes, it will be so set that you won't need to do that. And I have an example of one that I made a couple of days ago. You can see how thick this is and how uniform it is. So once it sets up in the refrigerator, it sets really well. And this will stay good in the refrigerator for 5 or 6 days. I want to show you guys one more example. This is how I would make it if I did dessert. So you can actually just pour it right into pretty glass containers and then put a plastic wrap over it and put it in the refrigerator if you're making it to serve at a dinner party or for dessert. And in this one I just put some fresh berries on top, and it makes a really great dessert that you can share with your friends. If you guys like this video, make sure you head on over to my blog at elizabethwriter.com and subscribe to my free weekly updates. You guys will hear from me soon.